Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of the Franchising 360 show. I am Tim Parmeter, and with me, as always, is Danielle Wright.
Hi.
Every Friday night, we are going to take a 360-degree look at the franchising industry. Franchising is typically not at all what people think it is, and we're going to educate you on things like, should you own a franchise? And if so, how do you know which one is the best for you? Once you're a franchise owner, we're going to talk about strategies to help you grow and succeed. And we're going to help you, even show you how to take your existing business and turn it into a national or potentially international franchise brand. Danielle has been in the industry for over 15 years, primarily on the franchisor side as director of development up to chief development officer. And now she consults for numerous brands on how to effectively grow. I am the founder and CEO of FranCoach and have been doing this for over 10 years. Our team at FranCoach works with individuals who want to become a franchise owner. Our job is to help determine what they're looking for in a franchise and match them with the best one for them to own. The consistent thing we both focus on is properly educating people on the franchise industry, and that is what we hope to do with this show. Usually kind of 60-40, whether we pulled that off, but we're
giving our best shot.
We have a guest tonight.
I love guests. I think I say that every time we have a guest.
I think that usually ups the odds to like 80-20 on being able to properly educate people.
Right.
So, and another like fun, super sexy home service brand.
Yes.
Right.
Again, we love some home service.
We love home service.
We still don't own one.
Not yet, but
you always give a but. But the moratorium on owning a business has been lifted,
we had
right?
it. We had it, and probably the one thing we should remind people of, we're married, so the fact that we are owning those.
Who are you again?
I saw a thing not too long ago on your favorite show, Kelly, and what's her husband's name? Mark. Where they were talking about his like breath in the morning, and then all of a sudden he was like, we should remind people that we're married, and it was a little awkward. So I thought maybe we should do that as well.
And we've been franchisees of brands. We currently are not franchisees of brands, and I think that's an important. We took
2024 off. Yes. We held ourselves accountable not to do that anymore. But it's 2025.
I mean, you just made my day. I'm going to go. Like, you're going to continue doing the education thing. I'm going to go find the next thing.
I'm saying it might be our guest later today.
Okay.
So we'll see.
That's good.
But before that, speaking of education, people ask a lot of questions of us, our teams. Every single day, there's usually
we actually work besides doing this show, right?
I mean, so air quote on the work, right? But
maybe not him, but I do.
But we get a lot of questions, and this is where we get this fun new segment, Danielle's Email Emporium, which is sponsored at the moment by no one. But Danielle, what's out in the email bag today?
I don't know. Like, I'm going to dig in the fictitious bag, right? Like, where are we? Okay, I got it.
What do we got?
Are we ready?
What do we got?
Okay. So most recently, I don't know that it's a question, it's a story, right? So when we work through the franchise vetting process, say for instance, you and FranCoach send someone my way for a brand that we're working with. They go through the process of discovery and they get to this magical moment where they're awarded a franchise. And I'm sure that's an episode we need to talk about because we don't really ever talk about that.
They're awarded? I can't just buy whatever I want?
I think a lot of people think that. Like, I give you the money for the fee, I just get to buy it, right? Like, no, funny enough, it's called an award process. And so I had someone go through the award process. They were pseudo awarded, I guess, kind of sort of left the meet the team event, said, yay, you get to be a franchise owner. A couple days passed by and all of a sudden franchise says, you are not awarded.
Wait, that happens?
That happens.
Wow.
So how would you coach your client through it? And I'll tell you the side of the franchise that we don't normally do that. So there's got to be a big reason why. So there's usually, one of two things. I think if it's financial, right? If that franchise, right, maybe they're not quite, and again, qualified or overqualified, which can be it's kind of sucks if it's you and somebody's telling you that, right? But that they care enough that they're looking out for you, right? Or quite frankly, and we've had some clients over the years that have just become such a the word I wanted to say I shouldn't say, but a real pain in the butt.
like you think you're the smartest person in the room in a group of franchise professionals doesn't really ooze, I'm going to follow your plan.
Yeah.
And that's going to get you not awarded.
Okay. So in my experience on the franchisor side, we don't generally have someone invest time, energy, effort in like an 8-week discovery process. But the whole point of that is to get to know them in that fashion.
Right.
We invite you to a corporate headquarters. We generally like want our team to understand, like I like it calling meet the team, because at the end of the day, these are the people you're going to work with.
Right.
And I've had quite a few people, I say quite a few, it's really not as quite a few, but I've had people come and their personalities are Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Very rarely do that. It's the financial piece, because we've pretty much vetted through that in the beginning stages, but it's a personality fit. So I've had people come and we were like, we award them, but then just come to find out we have a internal meeting. And all of a sudden it's like, we don't like that person. And so we can't have them in our system.
Their profile was better than they showed up in person. Reminds me of my dating days. We're going to put a pin in that, as they would say. So, no, those things do happen, but it's important to know that franchises are awarded and not just bought and sold.
I love this email like Emporium thing. I don't like Emporium, but I love the it's.
You had a chance to come up with a name and you blew it, so I went with Emporium because I like the alliteration.
You liked it. Great.
And so,
but now to our guest.
And coming up after the break, we have the largest provider of home services in the entire world.
But you may not know their name.
You may not know their name, but you do know their name. That guest is coming up next here on the Franchising 360 Show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 Show. Now sitting dangerously close to me is Danielle Wright.
Yes.
And we have a guest joining us from the world's largest provider of home services. The largest, not the largest provider of that. The vice president of franchise development for Neighborly, Mr. Trent Huey. Trent, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
And coming all the way from lovely Waco, Texas.
It was a long travel day today.
Your arms must hurt.
They hurt. Yeah.
So there we go. And we're done. We'll be right back. Trent, I know you've been in franchising a long time. You know, it's a people business. I always like hearing stories. What's your crazy version of getting into this world?
I have a very unique story of getting into franchising. So I have a degree in education from Baylor, born and raised in Waco, Texas, married, 3 kids. And I started out my professional career as a high school physics and chemistry teacher. Coached high school football, basketball, baseball. It took me about 10 years to realize teachers don't make a lot of money. My wife, there you go. My wife
took me 11.
Exactly. So yeah, there we go. My wife was a teacher as well, but we decided to move from Dallas back home. And then I took a completely different career path and went and worked in the oil field. So I put out oil well fires, worked in the snubbing industry for a company called Boots and Coots, which was a part of Halliburton. Traveled all over the world, Middle East, North Africa, and decided to come back home when one of my kids, I came home from being gone for about 6 months, so she didn't recognize me. So I told my wife, I was like, I got to find something else to do. And I had a buddy at the time that was working for Grounds Guys, and put a resume in and started with Mr. Electric and grew to where I oversee 3 brands now.
Excellent. So cool. And like most people, not intending getting into franchising.
Not intending.
Random story. And then you get there and like, we have to talk about Neighborly and all his brands, but I really want to talk about the show Landman.
I know, it literally was coming in my head. It's like, so you're a real life Landman. I love it.
So
that could be our like.
That's in the bonus footage.
Bonus footage.
Okay, so you are with Neighborly. Do you know who Neighborly is?
I do, but I know Neighborly as a different name. So do you want to tell our viewers like kind of the history of Neighborly?
Absolutely. So it used to be the Dwyer Group. So I grew up with the Dwyer Group, being from Waco. And I still remember, Don, Dina, and Doug and the family on the front of the Waco Tribune Herald when they bought Mr. Reuter and when they did all these fantastic things and how great the company was. Don, unexpectedly passed away in the early 90s from a heart attack. And, his vision was to help people reach their goals through business ownership. And, from going from the Dwyer Group to Neighborly today, it's just continued on with what his dream was.
Yeah. Now, how many brands are under the Neighborly umbrella now?
32 brands, and 19 of those brands operate inside the United States.
Oh, I got a good one.
Yeah.
Name all of them alphabetically. Go.
I don't think I can do that.
It was worth a shot.
Okay, but within that realm of Neighborly, right, and your role as Vice President of Franchise Development is over a segment of them. So talk about, can you at least name your brand?
Absolutely.
Okay, what do we got?
So I'm a Vice President of Development underneath the repair cluster. So our brands are Mr. Electric, Mr. Rooter, Mr. Appliance, AirServe, Mr. Handyman, Glass Doctor, and Precision Garage Door.
Woohoo!
Okay. And
okay.
Right.
Yeah, we're in Tampa, and Precision kind of started here, and that's it's full circle moment.
Right, and every other commercial in the morning is either
Precision.
an accident attorney or Precision, Precision Garage Doors.
Right.
So those are the repair cluster, and you've got a hyper focus on 3 of those.
That's correct. Mr. Electric, Mr. Rooter, Mr. Appliance are the 3 that I focus on the development side.
Gotcha. And I always think in franchising, like we really ain't too bright. So Mr. Appliance, Mr. Rooter, Mr. Electric, kind of maybe high level. One of them does something with appliance, one something electric, and the other one roots things.
You're on the right track. Absolutely. So Mr. Appliance focuses on appliances. Think of the kitchen, laundry room, anything that needs to be fixed that way. Electric obviously focuses on electric service. Think your panel outside, you need outdoor living spaces, whole home surge protection, smart home automation. And then Mr. Rooter, anything to do with plumbing, septic, they're your go-to.
Right. And you know this from your dad owning a plumbing business. The Apopka Plumbing, for those in Central Florida, we got to kiss up there,
right?
Stepdad. But with plumbing, there's above ground and below ground, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's correct. So you've got your just normal plumbing. Hey, I've got a faucet that's leaking. I've got a toilet that needs to be replaced. Then there's also what we call the mainline process, meaning the pipe that runs from the house to either the city sewer line or the septic tank. So there's 2 different factors of plumbing, and a lot of our Mr. Rooters nowadays focus on that mainline process, and it's a big deal. When your bullets don't flush and they back up,
that's a problem.
It's a problem. It's got to get fixed.
That's a crappy deal.
That's a very crappy deal.
Wow, here we go. Yeah. And as you say, we're done.
We want to get a little bit on the brands specifically, but there's so many things within Neighborly that are almost overwhelming amounts of support that franchise owners hit. I want to touch on those here when we come back, and we're going to do that next here on the Franchising 360 show. We are back on the Franchising 360 show. Joining us from Neighborly is Mr. Trent Huey. Trent, we've talked a lot on this show, which I know you've watched every single episode multiple times.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being one of our 7 viewers. But we talk a lot about franchising. It's the business in the box. There's the plan. There's the support. Neighborly is kind of next level with some of the support, and we could probably go for hours on all of the different things. Maybe hit a couple highlights of things Neighborly does to help their owners.
Yeah, there's a couple things that really stand out to me. With as big as we are, each brand is siloed in how their systems operate. So let's just pick Mr. Rooter, for example. There's a president, there's a vice president, there's a Sure Start coordinator, local marketing director, a brand manager, there's a director of systems specifically for Mr. Rooter. They do not work with any other brands. So they specifically focus on the growth of our Mr. Rooter franchise owners. But one of the biggest things that I really think helps our franchise owners is ProTradeNet, and that's our vendor network. And our vendor network is absolutely massive. The last time I talked to Luke Stanton, who was in charge of PTN, there were, I believe he said, 269 vendors in ProTradeNet, and their one job is to help our franchise owners reduce cost, which in turn helps more profit.
Right.
They're getting rebates, they're getting discounts on anything they buy in the business on a daily basis.
Yeah. So one of the things with you think of that lowering the cost of what the stuff is, right, is going to create those margins. Like the mom and pop person out there isn't getting those same things. So it really kind of helps eliminate almost like when you guys don't even really see that as competition, because you've got so many of those advantages internally, right?
Absolutely, it does, and it helps them having to go out there and haggle and try to even save prices. We go out there and do all of that for them. We make sure every business is vetted, make sure that they're delivering that top tier service, which Neighborly is known for. And if they're not, we replace them or kick them out and find someone else new.
I've heard this before, and I know you got a bunch of questions, but I've heard this before. Even like vehicles, you're getting those sometimes even less than like a local dealership does because you're buying so many more of them.
That's correct. Neighborly can go to a Chevy or Ford dealership and say, hey, look, we have X amount of franchise owners. We know that they're going to buy roughly X amount of vehicles. What kind of discount can you give us? And they love seeing those numbers.
What kind of vehicle you want next?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where that one's going. That one's trick.
Worth a shot.
That was a trick. I know we're on like no more moratorium on the business buying, but no.
I'm just trying to help you.
Nope, I appreciate that. I have more questions in and around like how does it all work, right? Because we had said my stepdad's a plumber. I know he needs a plumbing license. He's had one for years. But if our viewers are sitting there like, yeah, I see the need for that and I could probably make money at it, but I don't want to go get a license. How does that kind of work?
That's one of the biggest questions that we get is, hey, I don't have a license. I'm scared of this business. But in all honesty, it's one of the best things that we hear because they cannot get in a truck and go do work. Now, do they need a license to qualify the business? Absolutely. But the key here is we show them how to get that license. They can either hire someone to come work full time. We'll show them how to get a license in terms of, we call it leasing a license, but basically that person is paid by the business as a consultant. To come in, and that license is used to qualify the business. So we'll show them how to do that, and they have one job: work on the business, not in the business.
Okay, awesome.
What's that mean? We hear that a lot. Work on the business, not in it, right? So you don't want the plumber, the electrician, the appliance repair person owning it necessarily. What are they doing?
That's a great question. So I'll kind of take it back to what we are looking for character-wise in our owners. Can they grow and lead a team? Can they follow and execute a marketing plan? And can they manage numbers? So when you think about what we're looking for in terms of what can an owner do in a business, that's what they're doing. Are they leading the team? Are they having a team meeting? Are they giving the tools necessary for their workers or service professionals to be successful? That really starts with marketing. Marketing determines two things in business: growth and speed of the growth.
Right.
We know that. So they're going to look at the marketing aspect of the business and, hey, am I getting the calls I need to get my guys busy so they can close the X amount of jobs to have the right amount of revenue coming in for the business? And then we're going to take it a step further and look at, hey, what are my guys doing on the job? Are they meeting their numbers? Can I hold them accountable to doing X amount of revenue per week? So they're just really focusing on the business.
Yeah.
Ooh, now he's at. Now you've opened yourself up for the Danielle question.
Yes, go for it.
How much money can I make? Okay. And honestly, teeing it up for the viewers, for ourselves,
right.
We asked that question, and I asked that question knowing that on the franchise side, I can only share what I can share in a document that we've talked about. So even just top line, what are the revenues that you're seeing in some of the verticals?
That's a wonderful question. So with Mr. Reuter, what we're seeing on average is about $2.3 million per location.
See, love some plumbing.
Which is absolutely wonderful. Mr. Electric, we're seeing a little over $1 million, about a little less than 1.1 million.
Hey, that's shocking.
That's shockingly good numbers. Right. And then with Mr. Appliance, they look at it a little bit different because it's a higher volume. You're doing more calls a day than electric or plumber. So their job average is about $260 per job when they get called out to fix an appliance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. And again, those are pretty good top line numbers, especially when you look at an investment. This isn't a big brick and mortar. We don't need 3,000 square feet at the corner of Main and Main.
Absolutely not. Small 600 to 800 square foot a space to be able to hold those team meetings.
Okay.
And that's it. And Mr. Electric is actually a little bit different than some. They don't require you to have an office at all.
Oh, love that.
As long as you have an address inside the territory that you own, don't need an office. Save the money and spend it on the business.
Sounds like a good plan.
No, we're not owning one.
Okay. Well, I was trying.
I know you're trying really hard. I'm so proud of you for asking.
I know. I've got a couple more.
He'll come home tomorrow with one.
A couple more questions that we want to hit up with you. If you can do this, we gotta pay the bills though. Speaking of which, so we're gonna hit to this commercial break, and we'll be right back after this on the Franchising 360 show. And we are back on the Franchising 360 show. My right-hand person here, Danielle Wright, and the Vice President of Franchise Development at Neighborly, Mr. Trent Huey. Trent, we were talking about 3 of the 19 U.S.-based Neighborly brands in particular, Mr. and Mr. Right? We got Reuter, we got Mr. Electric, we have Mr. Appliance. So many things within Neighborly and those brands. What's maybe something in particular oh man, we got to talk about this tonight?
One of the biggest pushbacks that we get from a lot of these brands is, how am I going to hire someone? That we get that a lot from our franchise owners. So there was a few years ago, Neighborly, really spent a lot of time, energy, effort, money. Hey, we need to partner with the top people in the United States to help our franchise owners find this top tier talent. And we found that vendor in Paradox. So Paradox is a vendor that Neighborly uses to help bring in and find that top tier talent. It's a lot of AI automated segments to what they can do to help get in front of the person who is wanting to look for a job a whole lot quicker, taking a lot of that guesswork out of the owner.
Well, because it's got to be intimidating. If I've never been a electrician, now I have to hire electricians, knowing that there's going to be tons of support from the franchise. It's got to be comforting.
Oh, absolutely. So you can set up Paradox to where it can, only look for certain people or let certain people apply who meet certain standards, like math, aptitude, verbal assessments to make sure they meet the certain criteria that you're looking for.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool. We need that.
Do we?
Probably. So, and then
you're trying to get me.
Does that roll into kind of helping get them trained, or even being able, like, it's bringing the people in? How are you helping them make sure they're making the right decision, so to speak? You're not hiring for them, but you can provide some guidance.
Absolutely. So that's where the whole network of Neighborly really comes into play. We do have a vast network of electricians who are owners and plumbers who are owners. So that's one of the great things about franchising, and specifically with Neighborly. It's one big family. So you could actually call a neighboring Mr. Electric owner, neighboring Mr. Router owner, and say, hey, can you hop on this interview with me? And have them hop on and really help make sure you're bringing in the right fit and the right talent.
Oh, okay. See, and I was going a whole nother route with that. Like, do they share resources? Can they share resources? Is that something they do? See, lots of questions.
Well, and we've talked about that before, even on this show. Like, some of the best resources, great the franchisor, but those owners being able to talk to each other is huge.
That's a whole other show. I mean, talking about how Neighborly can share customers and market together. That's a whole other segment and show.
Oh, are you offering to come back? We love return guests.
Absolutely.
You know what we should do? We should do some extra footage and put it on our YouTube channel.
I love that idea.
So, can you stick around?
But he may not want to stick around. We're tough.
Well, because these are the easy questions. And the next thing is, like, we're not messing around. We're coming at you with the.
I'm happy to stay.
Gloves are off, because I want to hit up on that marketing aspect of, you guys are a marketing dang machine with this, and some of the cross marketing and things like that.
You've been doing it as long as they have. They should.
You would think so, right? So, 'cause you guys aren't here to play with that, right?
No, absolutely not.
So, we are. Again, you can stick around for a few more minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So, Trent Huey, Vice President of Franchise Development from Neighborly Brands. Trent, thanks so much for coming on with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Super fun.
So,
I'm ready for the fire. Let's go.
You're ready for that?
We're still not buying one, though.
Okay.
He keeps trying. But
can we talk about it later?
Sure.
Okay. But
the answer is still no. Sure, we can talk about it later.
Excellent.
Definitely.
So while we discuss whether we're going to own a franchise anytime soon, next week we are going to do another industry spotlight.
Which,
oh my,
is exciting.
The one industry everybody thinks
that they want.
And that they all think about with franchising. That's the one we're going to talk about next. In the meantime, all this footage is going to be over on our Fran Coach YouTube channel, so go find that. And until next Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, that's Danielle Wright.
This is Tim Parmeter.
We'll see you next week on the Franchising 360 Show.